Hello friendos, welcome in. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about how I do my zero sanity, zero evidence games. I'm sure by now a lot of you have seen how I go about it. I've never formally talked about the strategy of what I'm thinking going into the house, the tests I'm gonna do right away, and my overall strategy. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna play one game on a small map because I typically do the same thing on all the small maps, and then we're gonna go to Sunny Meadows and I'll tell you how I usually do my tests on Sunny Meadows, which is pretty similar to how to do it on all the big maps. So first and foremost, I always go in with a flashlight so I can see, a smudge stick, and a lighter. Now let me talk about smudge sticks really quick before we go inside because this is very important. Now obviously, smudge sticks save your life, right? If the ghost is hunting, you can use a smudge stick and you can get away. But you only have 4 smudge sticks, and you have to do some tests that involve getting close and personal with the ghost. So I always prioritize smudging only to do tests for ghosts, and there's a couple tests that are going to require smudge sticks. So the visual test, so to test for a phantom oniobake, you're probably gonna have to loop the ghost and actually get a visual of the ghost, so you're probably gonna need a smudge stick for it. You don't always need one, but it's very helpful. Also to do in line of sight test to see what the speed's like when the ghost sees you, so a gin test, you're gonna need a smudge stick. And then also, to test for a spirit and demon, you're going to need to smudge the ghost instead of timer. And sometimes, for at least demon, you have to smudge the ghost a couple times, because demons don't always hunt under 90 seconds after you smudge them. Also, you're going to need a smudge stick for a yokai test to see if the ghost aggroes to you or not. I'm going to show you a couple ways on Tanglewood and really Willow Street, Grafton, and Bleasdale also have the kitchen island where you can also do these tests. But there's ways to test for a lot of these ghosts without a smudge stick while still looping them. I'll show you how we're going to do that. But yeah, so I always try to save my smudge sticks to do tests. So it's okay if you have to smudge to save your life. No worries. Smudge sticks, you only got 4 of them. They're super important. So with that in mind, I've thrown a lot of the equipment out here just so we don't have to walk all the way back to the van. We're going to go inside. So first things first, when I go inside a house, is I usually try to go get the breaker on ASAP. I don't always get it on before the first hunt, but that is priority number 1. If the ghost hunts before I get the breaker on, I'm probably just gonna hide. So let's go and hop in. I always grab this key in case the ghost is a meanie and turns on the car alarm. Let's see if the breaker is in here. Okay, breaker's in the basement. That's okay. So we're gonna turn this on. It doesn't sound like the ghost is hunted yet. So we can go ahead and get set up in the kitchen where we're going to do our visual speed test. So in this first hunt, we're going to test for a lot of ghosts. We're going to test for all the visual ghosts like Oni, Phantom, Obake. We're going to test for Poltergeist to see how it throws all these items. We're going to pay attention to its speed. Does it get fast when it rounds this corner? Could it be a Jinn? Does it get fast when it gets closer to me? When it gets closer to my flashlight? Could it be a Raiju? And then also after I smudge it, I'm going to set a smudge timer. Which I don't have up on screen. I'm really bad about that, but I'll tell you guys that every time after you smudge a ghost when you're playing on zero evidence, you always want to make sure you set a smudge timer just after the smudge finishes burning, so you can rule out spirit or demon based off that. So, well, this ghost is it's just not hunting. I don't know why. It's funny. I'm playing on zero sanity and just chilling in the kitchen. No hunt whatsoever. Also keep in mind maybe where. Let's see, do we have hiding in here? I'm gonna check really quick while this ghost is considering hunting me. Okay. Now, based off this behavior right now, I'd want to lean towards shade, the fact that it's not hunting, but it's not always the case. Just because this ghost isn't hunting doesn't mean it's a shade. You know, every game is programmed differently. Sometimes the ghost hunts right away. There we go. Now it's hunting. So it's fast. Okay, we're gonna smudge, run away. Okay, I'm setting a smudge timer, although based off this test, I'm pretty sure I already know what the ghost is. So that's something to keep in mind. If you before you actually see the ghost, if you notice something significant with its speed, you didn't immediately rule off so many ghosts, right? So I heard that ghost was fast, so I immediately ruled off any ghost that is normal speed, right? So let's go through and do that really quick. It wasn't a Dio, right? It's pretty obvious. Dio is very obvious when you see it. Super fast, and then goes down to snail pace when it gets up to you. Not a Hantu, because it's speeding up with line of sight. Not a Revenant. Oh, sorry. Could be a Revenant. But okay, so Sorry, we'll leave Holland 2 for a second. I'll explain. So all these ghosts so far have been normal speed. That's why I'm crossing him off. Wasn't a Djinn, because a Djinn does speed up when it sees you, but that's more of like, it goes normal speed, and then when it sees you, it speeds up a little bit. Also, this ghost is ghost eventing right outside my locker. So we cross off Djinn. Normal speed ghost, normal speed ghost, normal speed ghost. And then twins, it could have been twins, mimic, fae. So, and then I'm pretty familiar with ghost speeds and like which ghost sounds like what. So I was able to tell right away that this ghost is a Moroi because it was fast without line of sight. It was too fast to be the fast twin. So I already know that it's a Moroi, but a couple ways if you aren't sure if it's like a Fae, Moroi, twins. Another thing to note is that while I was looping it, I was paying attention to see if its speed increased with line of sight because let's go and listen to it right now. So that's what a Moroi sounds like at 0% sanity. Because remember, Morois get faster when they're hunting, the lower your sanity. So when you first start out a game, well, Moroi's not going to hunt you. But if you were to use like a cursed possession and get it to hunt, it's not going to be fast. But if you're at 0 sanity and a Moroi hunts, it's going to sound like that. Okay, so that's what a Moroi sounds like. Oh geez, hello. Another way to like differentiate between, if you aren't sure if it could be like a Moroi, they are twins, I'm going to show you another test that you can do, which is actually feel a little scary, but it's also like super cool to see this happen. Hopefully I can get back to the kitchen. So Morois, the smudge stick effect lasts twice as long as them. So normal ghosts, when you smudge them, they get blinded for 6 seconds. Well, Moroi, hello sir, gets blinded for 12 seconds. So we're going to loop this ghost. I'm going to show you 1, how it's going to increase with line of sight speed. And then 2, I'm going to show you how the smudge lasts for, it feels like eternity. Can you stop that and hunt me? Okay, thank you. So I have 2 smudge sticks in my hand right now. Now, once you know what ghost you think it is, obviously if you're playing on 0 evidence, 0 sanity, you want to check for orbs just to make sure that it's not a mimic. I've gotten personally kind of lazy about this. I don't always check for orbs because a lot of times I'm in the game for a decent amount of time to where if it was a mimic, the ghost would change its behavior. And I believe we've been in this game long enough now to where if this was a mimic, it would have changed to like a different speeded ghost or something different. But definitely check for orbs before you just rule out a mimic. Ghosty, come here. Ghosty. Ghosty. Okay, it comes. Alright. See how it's getting faster and faster? Oh, we're looping it? Okay, I'm gonna go and smudge it. Now watch how long it ignores us for. It's still ignoring us. Okay, now it's not ignoring us anymore. But like, do you see that? Like, it came back to the room, was still ignoring us. That is 12 seconds of smudge blindness right there. So yeah, this ghost is a Moroi. I think I'm gonna play another game because I want to show you like all the tests I do with all of this stuff. And it's, since we were clear know that this is a Moroi, I'm not gonna waste our time. So let's go and hop another game. Hopefully get a less obvious ghost. But that's like the beauty of playing on 0 sanity, 0 evidence is that you can figure out the ghost like first hunt. And then you can like do a couple, I've done no objectives, but you can like do a couple of these objectives and make like some serious bank. But okay, yeah, let's go and hop into another game and I'll show you all the other tests that I do.
Welcome back.
Nice. The ghost was indeed. I'm right. Just wanted to show that wasn't like a mimic or something. Okay. So we're going to hop, we'll go into like Willow Street, but the tests are all going to be the same. And you'll see I kind of do the same thing on Willow Street that I do on like all the smaller maps. Okay, so now we're on Willow Street, and I did remember to put my timer up top right so you guys can see what the time is after I've smudged it and when the ghost hunts. Also, you can see like when I'm light or when I'm starting my smudge timer, so you can also start your smudge timer then. But yeah, we're gonna do the same thing we did on Tanglewood. We're gonna go inside, look for the breaker. Okay, just kidding. We're gonna hide right away since we did not get the breaker on. We're just gonna listen to the ghost speed. Although, we can't even hear it. Let me get a little bit closer. So this ghost speed is normal. And the reason I can tell that this ghost speed is normal is because the footsteps match up to the rhythm of the song. This is the rhythm of the night. Okay, well, stop hunting so you can't hear it. But if you're ever unsure if the ghost is normal speed or like slightly faster or slightly slower, just like hum, this is the rhythm of the night. And if the footsteps match up, then it's normal speed. And the more you play, the more you'll get used to like ghost speeds. Trust me, it took me a while to be like, wait, is that slow? Is that fast? Is that normal? What is going on? So we have the breaker on now. We already know the ghost is normal speed. So unless it's a mimic, we can cross off a lot of ghosts. So yeah, sometimes I always don't get to do like a visual test first hunt. So if that happens, I will just hide and then listen to the speed, because knowing the ghost speed, you can cross off so many ghosts. We're gonna try to do that while it's thinking about hunting again. So we're gonna keep all the normal speeded ghosts. We're gonna cross off all the ghosts that could be fast. I'm gonna leave Raiju because we didn't have any electrical equipment, so it could still be a Raiju. Remember, Raijus get faster around powered electrical equipment. So we know it's not a Moroi, because based off last game, we know that's it's normal speed. It doesn't sound like a Moroi. Not a Revenant, because the Revenant would be very slow, and then, I mean, if it happened to see us or detect us, it would speed up. Jesus, okay. Hi. She said, no crossing off ghosts today. Good Lord. Wow, okay. Hi. Just shutting all the doors now. Okay, maybe I don't cross off ghosts while this thing is eventing on me. Well, we could probably cross off Shade as well based off of what we just saw, because a Shade isn't... I mean, the Shade sometimes still does ghost events, but it definitely doesn't do, like, very visible ghost events like that. So we could probably cross off Shade. Shades are super shy ghosts. They also won't like hunt in the same room as you. Okay, it's hunting. Okay, so it's not speeding up with line of sight. Alright, so I actually already know what this ghost is based off of looking at it right now. So let's go ahead and smudge. I'll start a timer just to be thorough. Go and hide. Okay, starting the timer. So, like I said, the first test I do when I loop the ghost is 1, to see if it like speeds up with line of sight when it sees me, and then 2 is to get a visual of it. When I'm getting a visual of the ghost, I'm trying to see if it's an Oni, Phantom, or Obake. Obake has a 6.66% chance every time it blinks to change its ghost bottle. A Phantom is gonna be almost like invisible while you're looping it. Like you'll see it blink every once in a while, but it's gonna have periods of very long invisibility. Like it's gonna blink for a really long time and you're not gonna be able to track it as easily. Now Oni, so this ghost is actually an Oni, and there's a couple reasons I know that. First of all, it did two. It did 2 ghost events on us in like quick succession. Onis are very active as far as ghost events. They will do a lot of ghost events. They also aren't capable of doing an airball ghost event. So if you ever have a ghost do an airball ghost event, you can just cross off Oni. But the main reason I knew this was an Oni is because it is super visible while we're looping it. And I'm gonna go and loop it again so you guys can see what an Oni looks like. Also, we're gonna check for, we're gonna look to see, because if it's not an Oni this hunt, we'll check for orbs to see if it's a mimic. Let's see. We got about 15 seconds before I could hunt again, so I want to turn off this radio because it's driving me crazy. Oh, that's right. I was going to show you how to loop the ghost without having to use a smudge stick, which we'll do that. We'll do that here because that way you guys can see the Oni blink for longer. But yeah, I'm going to show you what the Oni looks like. And I'll go ahead and do like all my other tests just to show you how I roll off other ghosts, because the ghosts are being very cooperative and it's very easy to tell what they are today, but it's not helpful for if you have to test for other ghosts. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and crouch because I want to be able to loop her for longer. You see how visible she is right there? Like, it's like she hardly, like she'll have a normal blink, but then she has periods where she's just like not blinking like hardly at all. See that right there? Alright, I'm just going smudge. Oh, okay, just kidding, I don't need to. I should start my smudge timer, huh? Okay, so yeah, we definitely know it's not a spirit. Because it hunted under 3 minutes, so we know it's not a spirit. I'm going to cross that off. I guess technically, if we didn't know it was an Oni, it could technically still be a demon because maybe it just chose to hunt after 90 seconds. But we can definitely for sure cross off spirit because it hunted under 3 minutes after we smudged it. And as you saw, I started my smudge timer right when my smudge stopped burning. So normally, after I've smudged the ghost and I have, I'm sitting here waiting for it to hunt again, I will come back outside and I will grab 2 crucifixes and a candle. Now, hopefully after the first hunt, you've kind of seen what room it's come from, which we know that it's spawning in this back left room. We've seen it come from here twice now. So I'm gonna try to get in here and put down some crucifixes. Jesus. That I'm not gonna lie, that kind of gave me a heart attack. No cap. Okay, so what we're doing right now with this stuff is we're gonna be testing for an Onryo. And you actually, on Willow Street, you have a candle right there. So you can just grab that candle if you want to test for Onryo. So we need to get those candles lit. So hypothetically, if we didn't know this wasn't already an Oni, we could be testing for Onryo. She actually hasn't used a crucifix yet. Now, if at some point this ghost chose to hunt, which is probably not going to hunt in here because of the crucifixes, but I'd probably hide behind here. So while I'm walking around, I'm always mindful of my escape route. Which in this case, if we're to hunt right now, depending on where it came from, like if it came from over there, I might go into the basement. If it came from back there, I honestly probably would just come crouch right here. Okay, so while we have the candles and crucifixes down, we're going to grab some salt. No, I'm going to grab the video camera just to be thorough. We'll check for orbs, even though I'm pretty sure it is still an Oni. And we're going to keep an eye on the candles and crucifixes. Okay, well that's interesting. So this candle did go out. So we didn't see if the ghost used the crucifix before or after the candle went out. So that's something you want to pay attention to. If the ghost is an Onryo, it's going to blow out the candle and then use the crucifix. Like, it is not able to hunt if there's a lit candle near it. Let's see. I'll go and put some salt down. So the salt is to... Hello there. The salt is to test to see if the ghost is a wraith. Remember, wraiths cannot step in salt, so there will never be a footstep in the salt. Oh, jeez. Now there's a chance, because she's ghost eventing right here, that she may hunt from that location. So I gotta be careful. It could hunt from right there right now. Are you gonna do that? That is creepy. She totally did. You see that? So if you're ever wondering why your crucifixes aren't working, it's because she literally just like evented outside the crucifix range. It still looks like she's an Oni. See how visible she is? Holy cow. But yeah, so this is how you could loop the ghost here without a smudge stick. Like, if you're crouched behind this island with no equipment on, the ghost does not know you're here. Okay. Now, if you want to loop the ghost, you just leave your flashlight on and it will follow you around without actually getting faster. Okay. Okay, so that does sound like this ghost just stepped in the salt. So we can roll out Wraith. We're going to look around for orbs, even though I'm still pretty sure that it's an Oni. I don't see any orbs. So we're looking for orbs to test for a Mimic. Mimic is the only ghost on 0 evidence that's going to have evidence, which is orbs. Let's candle. And even though we know this ghost is an Oni, we're still gonna, like, we're hypothetically testing for Onryo. So you see this ghost just uses crucifix and the candle is still lit. That means this ghost cannot be an Onryo. So let's go talk about all the ghosts we can roll off based off of what we know so far. So, with Stepped in the Salt, we know it's not a Wraith. We've seen a visual of it. It didn't have a phantom blink. Like, it didn't have a very long period of being invisible while it was hunting. It's normal speed, right? So we're gonna roll off all of these. We did loop it with our flashlight, and a Raiju would have gotten faster getting closer to our flashlight. Not a Dio, for obvious reasons. Again, gonna cross off all the speedy ghosts. Not a Mimic, because we didn't see any orbs. Oh, we can do an official miling test. I can show you that. Not a Shade, right? Good. Oh my gosh, you're gonna give me a heart attack, bro. Please stop that. But see what I mean about Onis being, like, super aggressive with ghost events? They do so many ghost events. And it hasn't done an airball event yet either, right? So even further proof that it is an Oni. Maybe we go into like a hiding spot. Okay, it's hunting. We'll go here. Talk about crossing off more ghosts. Let's see. So when we were looping it around the kitchen island, it was not throwing items like crazy, which we can go and loop it again so I can show you. Uh-oh, I dead? God, it's getting really close. I can show you what a poltergeist doesn't look like. We also know it's not a Jinn, right? Because it didn't speed up when it came out of the room and saw us. I really don't appreciate how close you're getting to my hiding spot. We still need to do an official yokai test, actually. No, it's not Onryo, not an Obake, because it never shapeshifted, right? So let's go ahead and... I still have some smudge sticks. Let me show you how I test for poltergeist. God, I'd really appreciate if you stop turning on this radio, though. It's gonna drive me crazy. Okay. So normally when I test for poltergeist, like there's a couple ways you can test for poltergeist, but I usually like to do it during a hunt just because it's faster. I will put a bunch of items on like a loopable spot. Like right here. Okay, that hopefully should be enough items. We'll throw a couple more. Alright, she's coming. So we're looking to see if she throws... She's gonna throw things, but does she throw them super far and frequently? Like this ghost, she's throwing things, but like hardly at all, right? If you want to smudge her. A poltergeist would be throwing things super far, very frequently. I'm gonna go and start another smudge timer just to be thorough. So, you like once you see a poltergeist, like if you're looping a ghost and you think it might be a poltergeist, like you can tell. It throws things like absolutely crazy. So, yeah, that's a great way to test for poltergeist is you loop them and you see how often and how far they throw things. Like every ghost is gonna throw objects during a hunt, but a poltergeist, it is like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much they throw at things. Okay, so we have another smudge timer going. We still need to do a myling and a yokai test, which we will do this next hunt. I'll show you how I do those tests. Now to test for Banshee on single player, you just kind of have to stare at the room with a paramic and see if you ever get a scream. But there's a couple other things you can do too. If you think the ghost might be a Banshee, you can try to go a little bit of ways from its ghost room, right? Like this ghost has kind of been eventing on us in this room, which would make me almost think it's a Banshee, but this difficulty also has high wandering, so the ghost can easily wander out here and hunt and like event on us. But if you think it might be a Banshee, you can go kind of far away from the ghost room and see if it ever like follows you around, hunts on top of you, events on top of you. Because there's only a couple ghosts that can like follow you around and teleport to you. So like Wraith, Phantom, Banshee. Those are the three ghosts, or I guess Mimic too, that can like follow you or teleport to you. We're gonna do yokai test, weren't we? Well, okay, I'm gonna keep talking and then we'll do yokai test next hunt. So just hunted after 90 seconds as well. So yeah, so if you ever have a ghost like you're nowhere near the ghost room and it just is all of a sudden on you hunting or like throwing things, it could potentially be a Wraith. It could also be a Phantom. It could be a Banshee. Wraith's very easy to test for. You just put down salt, see if it steps in it. Phantom, if you get a visual of the ghost, you can easily rule out Phantom or not Phantom. And then sadly on single player, you have to listen for a Banshee scream to 100% rule that's a Banshee. I have been able to tell Banshees without the Banshee scream, but it just all comes down to how much the Banshee uses its ability of like teleporting to you. If it does a lot of singing events, could also mean it's a Banshee. Okay, so now we're gonna do yokai test, which on Willow Street, doing yokai test is so awesome because you can like just sit behind this door, and what we're looking for is the ghost to just beeline it straight to us. Like if it's a yokai will come into this kitchen and not even notice us back here yelling at it with our flashlight on. Like it'll just beeline right into that room, say see ya. If it is a yokai, it'll probably ignore us. You do have to be careful though, because sometimes yokais, like whenever a ghost hunts, it has like a pathing it's gonna take, and so it may have like predetermined that's gonna path into this room, in which case it's gonna look like it's not a yokai. It could still be a yokai. You may even need to do like a test in like go to a different room and test for yokai. Okay, well this ghost they have to be kind of close to normal ghosts to sense your equipment, so let me try to get it up here. Ghosty, come here. Ghosty. 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 See how it's beelining right for us? So we can very clearly tell this is not a yokai. Okay, let's start hunting. I'll set another smudge timer just so I can show you how every time I smudge, I always set a smudge timer just in case it happens to be a demon one hunt. You never know. Okay, so that is what a not yokai looks like. A yokai would have just probably walked right past that door and like gone to the garage or maybe turned around. But you do have, the ghost has to be kind of close to sense you, right? Like, cause you saw, you just turned off the breaker, that's rude. The ghost like didn't notice us and went to the basement, but then once it came back upstairs, it did finally notice us. And hi. Now, see, this ghost is like giving off some serious banshee vibes with all these singing events it's doing. But we did get a visual on it, so we were able to determine that it's an Oni. So that's why I'm not trying to listen for a banshee scream. Oh, okay, so testing for like a Yuri. The only real giveaway that a ghost is a Yuri is there's a couple things. After you smudge the ghost, it seems to only stay in its room for 90 seconds. It could potentially be a Yuri. Also, pay attention to doors if you think you might be going against a Yuri. So Yuri, as you may or may not know, has the ability to like fully shut a door. A Yuri can also like double touch a door. And it's kind of hard to explain it, but what you're gonna hear is like, you know how you have like the door touching sound? You're gonna hear that boom boom in quick succession. Yuris are the only ghosts that can do that. Like literally you'll hear the door touching sound twice, back to back. Okay. Oh lord. Oh my gosh. Okay, well there's some good proof of how you always have an escape route planned. Oh my god. Sometimes I take this game way too lightly and I just like forget that the ghost can hunt and kill me. So the reason I was able to get away there is because I closed the door of the basement and so I broke line of sight and it kind of like lost track of me. So yeah, I knew the ghost was like hunting in the room, so my strategy was to run out of the room and just get as far away as possible. Also, this hiding spot right here is blocked, so you just kind of come behind here and then just kind of loop the ghost accordingly. I know it's very dark, you probably can't see, I'm sorry. Okay. So yeah, Yuri is a little hard to tell, but usually if I think I might be going against a Yuri... How's this bunny all the way down here? What? I just pay attention to doors. Does it ever fully shut a door? When I mean fully shut a door, it has to be all the way open before it shuts it. And ghost events do not count. Like, if every ghost can fully shut a door if it ghost events. And then does it ever, like, double touch a door in quick succession? And then... Okay, it's hunting again. So as far as testing for mare, that's also super miserable. If I think I might be going against a mare, I will turn the light on in the ghost room. I don't spam the light on and off, but like maybe after every hunt, I go to the ghost room, turn the light on, see if it ever immediately shuts it off on me. They also say mares are more likely to do light-breaking ghost events, but that is definitely not a way to tell if you're going against a mare or not. I'm sorry, but I've had Gorios break 4 lights. So yeah, so like for mare, let me try to give you an example. It's like we know where this ghost room is. I'll just like go here and I'll just turn the light on and see if it ever turns it off. Oh my god, I thought that... Oh, okay, see now this ghost broke a light, but it's an Oni. You see what I mean? I thought I was dead there, by the way. I thought that was a hunt. And then as far as Gorios go, depending on what settings you're playing on, like I recently just upped my changed my settings so that the change favorite room is no longer none. It's set to medium, so it has a medium chance of changing its favorite room, which is better helps identify if it's a Gorio or not, because Gorios, their ability with no evidence that they can never change their favorite room. So if you think you could be going against a Gorio on 0 sanity, 0 evidence, just keep in mind, does it ever change its favorite room? Which this ghost has not changed its favorite room, but we already know it's an Oni, so I'm not worried about Gorio. I was going to say, let me step outside so I can see if there's any other tests I need to show you, but... This is a little hard to go about doing because both of these ghosts were super obvious, so like trying to go about all the tests is, it's kind of hard to explain with how easy this ghost was to figure out, but here, I'm always in here. So we already know it's not a poltergeist because it wasn't throwing things like crazy. We know it's an Oni, so that's how I was able to roll off Banshee. But if you aren't sure if it's a Banshee, you can sit there with a Paramic. Also, keep note if it does a lot of singing ghost events. Banshees do a lot of singing ghost events. No, it's not a Wraith because it's stepped in salt. Not a Phantom because it had an Oni blink. Again, I'm able to rule off a lot of these ghosts because we just know it's a Yuri, right? Demon, you're looking for if it ever hunts under 90 seconds after you smudge it. Or if it just... Well, I don't want to say if it hunts like crazy because... This Oni is hunting like crazy, right? See, it's just hunting again. And then Mare, you're looking to see if the ghost turns off the light immediately after you turn it on, excluding ghost events, because the ghost can do a ghost event and look like a Mare because they typically turn off the light when they ghost event. Oh, we never did a miling test, right? Okay. So this is how I test for miling. I just like sit in a hiding spot, look to see if I hear the footsteps before my flashlight starts blinking, which in this case I did. If you saw, I don't know if you noticed, but like when it was upstairs, I could hear the footsteps and my flashlight wasn't blinking. That means it is not a miling. If it is a miling, you're only gonna hear the footsteps right when your flashlight starts blinking. Go and test for miling one more time just so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see, and then we did a yokai test. And I mean, but we already knew from the first time it was an Oni, so really all these other tests were relevant, but I'm just trying to show you how if I don't know what the ghost is, how I do it. Okay, so watch. So you see we could very distinctly hear the footsteps and our flashlight's not flickering. That means it's not a miling. Okay, so now we're gonna hop off this game. We're gonna load out. I'm pretty sure it's an Oni, but 99.99% sure. We'll just confirm. And then we'll go home, hop into a bigger map, and I'll show you how I go about playing Zero Sanity, Zero Evidence on a bigger map. And we were right. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so let's go hop onto Sunny Meadows. My tests are pretty similar, but I want to go about showing you how I figure out where the ghost is, and then how I do the test depending on where the ghost is, because there aren't always loopable spots on Sunny Meadows depending on where the ghost room is. So I kind of have to switch up my strategies a little bit. I'm going to show you how I do that. So let's go hop into it. So just like on the other maps, I always go in with a flashlight, smudge stick, and a lighter. And first things first, so we are going to go turn the breaker on, just like on Tanglewood and Willow. If you didn't know, breakers can spawn right here in Sunny Meadows. Ring the bell for good luck. Also, while we're looking for the breaker, I'm going to, so it's hunting, I'm going to listen to see where it's coming from, because that's going to be your biggest indicator of where the ghost is. Sorry, I thought I heard footsteps. That's just like my earbuds creaking in my ears. What the heck? Okay. Sorry, so we're going to be listening to the ghost, for the ghost, while also looking for the breaker. Okay, another spawn point is right here, which is where it is. And we don't hear the ghost yet. I'll just go through and show you all the breakers can spawn on Sunny Meadows. So we came back upstairs. Here's the chapel. Next breaker can spawn in this utility room right here. Yep, right there. The next breaker spawn is through here into the courtyard. Then you go to the wonderful tree. And then the breaker can spawn right there on the wall. And now you may be wondering, yo, Maggie, the ghost is hunting. Why are you just walking around all willy-nilly? Well, unless the ghost is near you, like if you can't hear the ghost, you're probably fine to just like do whatever you want. It doesn't sound safe, but like, especially on big maps, the ghost kind of has to be close to you to like detect you. So yeah, usually while I'm looking for the breaker, I kind of listen to see if I hear it at all, which I have not heard this ghost. So it's probably going to be left or right side of like east wing or west wing. Okay, and the last breaker spawn is inside the kitchen. God, why do I feel like I never have any sprints? It'll be in this back like furnace room right there on the wall. Those are all the breaker spawns. Okay, so we have the breaker on. Now we need to go find the ghosts. Let's go right wing first. We can probably already roll out Deogen because it didn't find us that first time. Like a Deogen would just beeline it to you. So we probably already know it's not a Dio. Okay, you're hunting. Let's hear and listen. Don't hear it at all. But sometimes, even if it's on the right side... Oh wait, I do hear it. Is it downstairs? It totally is. I think it just finished hunting. Okay, then we're gonna go downstairs and I'll show you where I'm probably gonna set up shop. aka where I'm like gonna do all my tests. I don't know exactly where downstairs is spawning though. I just know it's down here. Sorry, my earbuds are like creaking in my ear and it makes me think I'm hearing like ghost footsteps. So I'm gonna get the lights on so we can see. We're probably going to hide behind this bookshelf right here. And then depending on where it comes from, this first test, we're going to get a visual and like listen to its speed. I mean, from that last hunt, it sounded normal speed. But so we're going to look to see if it like gets faster when it sees us or doesn't get faster. I want to say it's coming from the right side though, because like we could hear it when we were over there, like upstairs. I want to say it's over there, but I have to wait and see. Are you hunting? Okay, it is hunting. And the reason I knew that is because I can't turn this light on or off. So now I don't hear the ghost at all. So I don't know where it is. Now there's a chance if it's on the east or west wing, it could have gone upstairs this time. Instead of, oh, it's already done hunting. Wow. So let's see. Which way do I want to go? I think I'm going to go this way because we did hear the footsteps while we were over here, right? So maybe it spawns over here and then meandered over to the downstairs. There's another hiding spot over here we're going to use. Sorry, I always cycle through my items to make sure I have my lighter. I'm also trying to look to see if I see anything out of place. Okay, it's definitely been in this room. I don't know if this is its ghost room, but you can see how things are on the ground. It's definitely been in here. So I'm just going to stand out in the hallway so it doesn't spawn on top of me. And then we're going to hide behind the chair this desk is. And you can also use the light like in this room to tell if it's done hunting. So if this light goes off and we didn't hear it at all, that means we're in the wrong place. I'm actually also going to try to turn the light on and off. Okay, it's hunting. And I don't hear it at all. That's very super weird. Also, the ambient noises are like confusing me. Well, it's definitely been down here. Is it maybe upstairs? It's still hunting. Because his lights... Okay, it just finished hunting. Alright, so we're gonna go upstairs and see if it's up here, I guess. Yeah, sometimes finding the ghost on Zero Sanity, Zero Evidence, really any difficulty, especially on City Meadows, can be a pain in the butt. Because, like, you, like, hear them, and then you go to where you heard them, but they aren't actually there. Because the hunts on City Meadows are longer than other maps. Okay, we found it. It's up here. Okay, perfect. Just touch that door. Oh, there it is. I think it's a myling. Okay. Oh, there's the bone, too. Oh my god, we're gonna get so rich. Okay, let's get a smudge timer. Hopefully we don't die in this hiding spot. So I didn't pay super close attention to its blink because it sounded like a myling to me. Like it was so quiet. We'll do an official myling test so I can show you, but like I didn't even, like I heard the heartbeat of that ghost before I even like heard its footsteps. And I'm worried to put my flashlight down because I don't want to aggro it to its hiding spot. Yeah, like right now we can hear it throwing things, but I don't hear its footsteps at all. But yeah, that first hunt, okay, the hunt is over. That first hunt, always try to get a visual of the ghost, which I didn't. You know, I'm just gonna pick this bone up because I want the money. You want to try to look at the ghost, see if it's an Oni, Phantom, or Obake. I personally didn't because I could instantly right away tell that it was a myling because of how quiet it was. But if you aren't sure, you always want to get first test. You want to get a visual. Rule out Oni, Phantom, Obake. Also pay attention to its speed. You know, is it getting faster when it sees you? Is it getting faster when it gets close to your flashlight? If it doesn't, if it just gradually speeds up with line of sight, then you can probably rule out not a Jinn, right? Because it didn't speed up when it saw us and the breaker is on. Go ahead and stop that as well. So you see how we cannot hear its footsteps at all now? I mean, we heard its footsteps for a second after the flashlight started blinking, but like its footsteps disappeared so quickly. Now we can hear its footsteps right now because it's below us. You always want to do miling tests when you're on the same floor as the ghost because they don't really affect your flashlight through the floor. So right now we want to make sure the ghost is on the same floor as us, which it's not. Also, based off the smudge timer, we can roll off spirit, right? Hunted under 3 minutes. Okay, did you see that? We only heard its footsteps right when our flashlight started blinking. We'll go and do one more miling test so you can see what I'm talking about. And then I'll go ahead and go through and show you how I would do every other test on this map. Just to be thorough, even though we already know it's a miling. So far on this map, as far as like getting a visual of the ghost, I usually like to kind of stay near where I'm going to hide. So I knew I was going to hide in this bedroom. So I stood like a little bit away from the ghost room. That way when it came out, I could get a visual of it and also pay attention to its speed. So always have an idea of where you're going to hide, kind of hang out around there, and then let the ghost like kind of run towards you. Because where we're at right now, we can't really loop the ghost and get a really long visual of it. So you have to rely on these long corridors to get a good visual of the ghost. Okay, that is not really good at all because if the ghost events you on that like that, it could then hunt from that location. So we're actually gonna move away. Oh god, it's hunting. Oh god, this is really not good. Okay. No, this spot right here is a little scuffed. It's not a great hiding spot, but we're gonna try to use it. It's supposed to be a hiding spot, but I've definitely died here. So you see how we heard the footsteps right when our flashlight started flickering? That's a miling. That is a miling right there. Compared to our last game against the Oni, where we very clearly heard the footsteps before our flashlight even started flickering the least amount. Also with this miling, like you can kind of hear it throwing things, but you hear no footsteps, which is also like a pretty good indicator of a miling. Okay, so we know it's a miling, but I'll go and show you how to do all the other tests just to be thorough. Now we need to somehow get out of here without dying, so wish me luck. You know what, I actually think I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to go all the way down and around, so I'm not going by the ghost room, because if I went by the ghost room and the ghost hunted, I'm going to get locked in a very bad spot, because there's no hiding spots at the like beginning of the upstairs east corridor. So there's a very unlikely chance it's going to wander all the way down here if it does hunt. So I'm going to go the smart way. Okay, ghost is hunting. So I'm just going to like meander into this room and just hope it doesn't come in here. But it's very unlikely it's going to wander all the way down here. And then we'll just sit and wait. We'll flick the light to see when it's done hunting. Got the hunts on this map just last for what feels like forever. Holy cow. Okay. So I'm going to go back outside. I'm going to grab some more testing stuff. Ideally, we want to go back inside with a candle crucifix. And usually on this map, depending on where the ghost is where the ghost room is, I will typically always have a smudge stick on me because, especially in this scenario, like going to the ghost room. Oh, it just turned the breaker off. Okay. Well, we could rule out Jinn if we hadn't already because Jinns can't turn the breaker off. And that was also super convenient that it turned it off while we were right next to the breaker. Holy cow. But especially where this ghost room is, taking equipment to that ghost room, if it hunts while we're like almost to the ghost room, we're kind of in a bad position. So it's honestly, in this scenario, I want to have a smudge stick on me at all times. Oh my god, the ghost hunted right as I tried to go outside. Okay, well now I gotta wait for it to finish hunting. These hunts last forever. We did it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back with crucifix, smudge stick, candle. Now, I'm gonna have to drop the candle because I need to have a smudge stick and a lighter at me at all times. Now, it's gonna be a little frustrating. I can navigate in the dark, but if you're not comfortable navigating in the dark, if the breaker's on, you can turn on lights. Otherwise, I find what helps is to crouch and then try to kind of hug the corners, because when you're crouching, you can like see the floor a little bit better, and then you can go based off the floor to see like where you are. So I know I'm hugging the wall. And then I know the door is right here. Okay. Okay. You can also try to up your brightness to be able to see better. I think it was in the room right next to us, right? Oh, it just threw something right here, which we are hiding in this room. I'm gonna set up for this room. I don't know. Okay, it was not in this. Whoa. Okay, we got a smudge. See, it's so good that we had a smudge on us, right? Go and smudge it right away. Please don't follow me in here. Okay, we'll set another smudge timer just to be thorough. Because like I said, I always set a smudge timer. So it looks like it, I think it actually might have hunted in the hallway right there. But also smudging was good because it's going to hopefully buy us a little bit more time to get more equipment in here. But yeah, on big maps, don't be afraid to waste a smudge stick because I would have probably been dead in that situation. On smaller maps, it's a little bit easier to break line of sight and get away. But on a map like Sunny Meadows, when the hiding spots are kind of limited and far away, don't be afraid to use a smudge stick. Smudge timers can also be helpful just to know like when the ghost could hunt again. Like if you know for sure it's not a spirit, it's probably not a demon, you can like keep an eye and be like, okay, my smudge timer just hit 90 seconds, so the ghost could hunt again. And then vice versa, if it's not at 90 seconds, you know, I have a little bit more time. So I'm gonna move this crucifix, I think. Where did I put it? Yeah, it's opening the door next to us. So we're gonna set up shop in here. I'm just gonna put the crucifix here, and then we probably want to grab another crucifix to put like kind of outside the room. Bench of hunting right there. I'm gonna drop my lighter right here so we have more things, more hands. I have an extra hand now to bring equipment back. Also, smudge timer is almost at 90 seconds. Okay, it looks like the ghost is hunting. I think I started my smudge timer just a little bit late, but it's probably around 90 seconds. And that does not look like that crucifix worked. So this time we'll go back with probably I think I want to go back with like a candle and a crucifix. No, big maps is kind of frustrating because trying to get back and forth to the ghost room, especially on a map like Sunny Meadows where you get locked out of like the east and west wing, this can take a long time. So it can be a little bit frustrating playing Zero Sanity, Zero Evidence on this map for that reason, but I personally don't mind that much because I love this map. This is, next to Tanglewood, this is probably my favorite map. It can be frustrating. There's a lot of waiting while the ghost is hunting. But also you can see, like we're nowhere near the ghost room, so I can just kind of casually hang out here and wait for the ghost to finish hunting. Okay, so I'm gonna grab, let's see, I'm going to do this, and another candle, because ideally we want 2 crucifixes and 2 candles in there. So our lighter is by the door, so we're just gonna go in. I'm going back in with a crucifix, candle, and a smudge stick, and then we're gonna drop the crucifix and pick up our lighter. So the reason this ghost probably hunted and ignored our crucifix is because I think it wandered outside of the room and hunted. Okay, our lighter's right here. Okay, I did not turn the breaker off. All right. So yeah, I think it probably wandered out here and hunted. Oh, it did use this crucifix. Okay. So we got a candle down now. Let's go back. Since I'm just going to go to the front door, I am now going to drop my lighter and smudge stick right here. Because it's very unlikely the ghost is going to hunt me out here. I mean, if it's like a wraith, banshee, or phantom, it definitely could. But I know this ghost isn't those things, so I feel more confident leaving my smudge stick and lighter there. So let's go back with a few more things. We have another candle. I'm going to grab some salt and then a paramite. So we are down to 2 smudge sticks. Ideally, we want to try to use those smudge sticks. I'm gonna bring all this stuff over there to do a yokai test, and then maybe if you needed to, you could save one more to do one more visual test, just to see if maybe like, wait, was that an oni? Could it be an obake? It's very hard to do visual tests on this map without a smudge stick. I'm guessing that this ghost is going through the crucifix because it has not hunted yet. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it just went through the crucifix. I think we're safe to hide here or to stand here. Okay, so I'm going to go back in whenever it's in hunting with a crucifix, a smudge stick, and a lighter. Also, right by this door to the east wing, there's actually a hiding spot right here. You just like crawl up on this bed. and then go into here. We can hide right here. Although we probably don't need to because the ghost doesn't look like it paths over here. So I think we're fine. Just wait by this door. Alright, it's done hunting. So let's see if it absolutely demolished that crucifix. Okay, it did. And the candle is still lit. So we could definitely rule out Onryo right now. Because crucifix, we knew that it was only used once before we left. And we came back and it was used a second time and the candle was still lit. So I put another crucifix in there just to buy us a little bit more time. We're going to throw some salt in there to test for a wraith. Which I thought, yeah. I think I brought the salt over here. Oh my god, it absolutely demolished that crucifix. Holy cow. Let's see if we can go grab... Actually, I kind of want to get my flashlight so we can see a little bit easier. But yeah, in this scenario, to test for shade, it's a little bit risky. Because to test for shade in this scenario, I would want to sit in the ghost room to see if it ever hunts on top of me. And I usually like to have crucifixes available to do that. And all our crucifixes are already chomped through. But the ghost did hunt in the hallway with us. So because of that, I'm pretty confident it's not a shade. Because remember, shades cannot hunt in the same room as you. You just have to be a little bit careful about clarifying like where the ghost hunted, because sometimes the rooms in this game are divided a little bit strangely. So it may look like the ghost hunt in the same room as you, but like, for example, like maybe this counts as a different room than this. And so you're like, oh, it hunted on top of me. Can't be a shade, when in reality, it was technically in a different room. So yeah, to rule out shade, you're looking for the ghost to hunt like basically on top of you. But a lot of times on Zero Sanity, Zero Evidence, you're able to rule off ghosts without doing any tests for them, because you'll notice like a significant behavior that a ghost does. Like maybe it's speedy, so you can rule out all the normal speeded ghosts. Or maybe it gets fast when it sees you. Or maybe it's like hunting frequently or doing a lot of ghost events. So then you're able to like you're able to like be like, okay, it has this certain behavior, so I can rule off all these ghosts that don't have that behavior. So first hunt, we're able to tell that it's a myling. You're not always going to get that lucky, but okay, so we're going to do a yokai test. And I think I'm going to do it in my hiding spot room, which is a little risky. Also, the ghost stepped in the salt, so we can roll off wraith. Yeah, we're going to try to do this yokai test in our hiding spot room. Okay, I think just step in the salt. So what we're looking for here is for the ghost to... Oh, it is hunting. We're looking for the ghost to come in here. Ghosty, come here. Ghosty. Now keep in mind, especially on big maps, you actually kind of have to be decently close to attract the ghost. So of course, this ghost is going the opposite way this time. So you want to make sure the ghost goes right by your room before rolling out or before like being like, oh, it's a yokai. Because we already know this ghost is a myling. It's not a yokai. We just weren't close enough to attract the ghost with our equipment, even though it's not a yokai. If that makes sense. So it's kind of scuffed. But that is annoying that every other time it's pathed that way, and this time it's going the opposite way. Okay, so I'd already finished hunting. Yeah, so stepping in salt again. We're gonna do that yokai test again. Especially since we know it's not a yokai, and I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive. I'm gonna talk on my walkie-talkie to try and pull it over here, and we'll go from there. Ghosty, come here. Ghosty. Ghosty, come here. Ghosty. Okay, so you see how the ghost came directly into this room? We can go and roll out yokai. I'll go and set another smudge timer just to be thorough. Remember, we always set smudge timers after every time we smudge. Even though this ghost is still a myling, so. And at this point, we can rule out Mimic. Even though we haven't seen orbs, it's been a myling the entire game. But if you wanted to be thorough, you could go check for orbs. I don't feel like going out to the van and getting a video camera to go check for orbs. Now, as far as testing for poltergeist on this map, there are a lot of like objects you can get and put in the ghost room. So you could like put a lot of objects in the ghost room and see if it ever explodes the pile. You could also like put some items in the hallway and then like have it chase you down the hallway and see how it throws items. You can also listen to see how many items it throws while it's hunting. Because of the poltergeist, like I mentioned in the previous game, it's going to throw items like absolutely crazy. We're going to go ahead and try to leave this area. So yeah, we got like, what, 20 seconds to get away? Hopefully, if I set my timer right. So yeah, we've done a yokai test. We've done a myling test and determined that it is a myling. Let me see. Now for Banshee, you would just sit somewhere safe and listen to see if you ever heard a Banshee scream. Or you could go somewhere super far away and see if the ghost ever follows you and hunts on top of you. Big maps are so good for doing solo Banshee tests like that. Because I've done games where I've sat there and gotten like 10 paramic responses and never gotten a Banshee scream, and the ghost was a Banshee. So a lot of times, like, so for in this example, if I'm trying to see if it's a Banshee, maybe I would just hang out in this room, knowing the ghost room is over there, and see if the ghost ever like comes over to this room and hunts on me or events on me. Then if like the ghost is like super far away from its ghost room, you could immediately look to like Wraith, Phantom, Banshee, and then test from there. You could listen for a Banshee scream. You could look to see if the ghost does a lot of singing events. You could put down salt and see if the ghost ever steps in the salt to rule out Wraith or rule it as a Wraith. And then you could also get a visual to see if the ghost, how it's blinking. And then Mare, you just flick the lights on and off to see if it ever turns the light immediately off after you turn it on. Let's see. And then Raiju, if you aren't sure about Raiju, like if you notice the ghost might be kind of speedy when it gets close to you, you could put down dots near the ghost room and then listen to see if it ever speeds up around the dots. But I do believe we have talked about every ghost, because a lot of these ghosts, like Hantu, Twins, you're listening for their speed. And if the first hunt, the ghost is very normal speed, you can cross those off. Or if the ghost, when it's like chasing you, it doesn't speed up gradually line of sight, you can also roll off they and Hantu. And then for Goryo, usually what I do for Goryo on big maps is, I'm going to go and turn this off because it started hunting, is I roll off every other ghost until I get down to like, boom. Usually once I get down to the terrible three, what I do is I start paying attention to those ghosts and unique behaviors. Like, can I ever get the ghost to turn a light off on me immediately after I turn it on? How many light breaking events has it done? And then for Yuri, I pay attention to it touching doors. Does it ever do a double door touch? Does it ever slam a door in my face with it not being a ghost event? If it has never done any of those things, and I never has changed its favorite room, then I usually go Goryo. But usually when I get down to these three, I'm like, oh, this game is going to be miserable, because these tests are super inconsistent. Like, these ghosts using these abilities is super inconsistent, and sometimes when I get down to these three, it's just kind of like a guess and go situation. So yeah, I mean, from the first hunt, when you just go smiling, and sometimes it's that easy, sometimes it's not, but that is how I go about doing tests on a big map like this. When I play on like Prison, High School, and Maple Lodge, it's pretty similar. Maple Lodge is a little bit different because it's more of an open map. Wait, let's make sure we have Myling selected. Okay. Nice, and it was indeed a Myling. So yeah, let me go ahead and go through the process of usually how I do my tests on Zero Sanity, Zero Evidence. When I first go in the house, I might try to get the breaker on before the first hunt. If I don't get the breaker on, I usually hide, listen to the speed. What's his speed like? Is it fast? Is it normal? Is it slow? If it's fast or slow, then I start narrowing down the ghost. Let me get my journal open. I start narrowing down the ghost like there. From there, so if it's like a fast ghost, I roll off all the normal speeded ghosts, right? So these are all the normal speed ghosts. And then I start doing tests from there. So like for a Raiju, I would put down dots to see if it gets faster around the dots. If it's a Moroi, I very explicitly showed you how to do a Moroi test. Revenant is probably one of the easiest ghosts to identify by speed. It's going to be extremely slow, and then if it detects you or sees you, it's going to become lightning fast. Hantu is going to have super inconsistent speed depending on where it is in the house. So like if it's near the ghost room, it's probably going to be faster. As it gets farther and farther away from the ghost room, it's probably going to slow down because the temperatures are warmer. And then you can also loop a Hantu and see, does it gradually speed up with line of sight? If it doesn't, it could be a Hantu, because Hantus can speed up with line of sight. Deogen, another super easy ghost to figure out. When it's farther away from you, it's going to be extremely fast. And then when it gets close to you, it's going to find you no matter what and be very slow. Jin, you want to see how the ghost, what its speed is when the breaker is on and it sees you. So that's why I always try to get the breaker on like at the beginning of the game, because you want to test for Jin. Also Hantu, because a Hantu is probably going to slow down a little bit with the breaker being on and the house getting warmer. So that's why it's so important to get the breaker on as soon as possible. But yeah, Jin is going to get fast like when it rounds a corner and it sees you. And then twins, you're looking for a ghost that is like slightly faster, maybe even slightly slower. Mimic, it's just either you look for orbs or you try to pay attention to see if it ever changes its behavior during a hunt. And then Thay, sadly we didn't get a Thay so I could show you, but a Thay on 0 sanity, 0 evidence is going to be super fast. With a Thay, you could either loop it and see if it speeds up with line of sight. If it doesn't, it's probably a Thay. If that sounds a little bit too tricky for you, you could figure out where the room is, set up crucifixes, try to sit near the room so you can age it, and then progressively throughout the game, if it gets slower every time it hunts, then it's probably a Thay. Now, if the ghost hunts in its normal speed, ba-doop, 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 ba-doop. So the ghost is normal speed, right? So that's footsteps match up with, this is the rhythm of the night. You can roll off. Be careful rolling off Raiju until you see how it reacts around electrical equipment. But if you notice it doesn't speed up around electrical equipment, you can roll that off. So normal speed ghosts, these are all the ghosts you can roll off if it's normal speed. Assuming you've done a Jinn test, or maybe the ghost turned off the breaker so you know it's not a Jinn. Roll off twins, a Thay. And then at that point, I would have a smudge timer going. Actually, let's step back. So you first hunt, you've heard its normal speed, so you've rolled off all these ghosts. Then you're going to want to loop the ghost. Loop the ghost, pay attention to its blink. Does it have a long period of invisibility? If so, it could be a phantom. Does it super visible? It could be an Oni. But if it's not any of those, if it has a pretty normal blink, like it's blinking pretty consistently, you can roll off phantom and Oni. If you've looped it a couple times and haven't seen it ever shapeshift, then it's probably not Obake. So after you've looped it, smudged it, you have a smudge timer going. Pay attention to when it hunts. If it hunts under 3 minutes, you can immediately roll off spirit. If you smudge it like 4 times and it's never hunted under 90 seconds, you can probably roll off demon. Demon can be a little bit tricky because sometimes they'll never hunt under 90 seconds. And then, whenever you loop it the first time, you also want to be paying attention to how it's throwing things. Is it throwing things like crazy while it's hunting? Then it could potentially be a poltergeist. But if it's just kind of throwing things here and there, then it's probably not a poltergeist. So then you have a smudge timer going. You can go to the ghost room and set up some salt, roll out Wraith. You can set up crucifixes and candles to roll out Onryo. And the next time it hunts, you could either do a yokai test or hide in a hiding spot, put down your flashlight, listen to see, do you hear the footsteps before or after the flashlight? If you choose to do a yokai test, just sit in a room near the ghost, try to attract the ghost, see if it finds you or not. Mimic, you could check for orbs during one of your smudge timers. Shade, you could sit in the ghost room, and if it ever uses a crucifix that you're like right next to, probably not a shade. Also pay attention to like how active it is. Is it super active, doing a lot of ghost events, throwing a lot of things? Is it hunting while you're in the same room as it? Probably not a shade. Banshee on single player, you could use a paramic to see if you ever hear a banshee scream. Or if it does a lot of singing events, maybe it seems like it's following you around the house, could potentially be a banshee. Now we're down to the terrible 3. Mary, you just want to be turning the light on every once in a while, see if it ever turns it off right after you turn it on. Yuri, you're paying attention for that door slam, or if after you smudge it, maybe it just stays in its room for 90 seconds exclusively, or if it ever does like a double door touch. Like just pay attention to the doors if you think you could be going against Yuri. And then usually if it's none of these other ghosts, it's never changed its favorite room, you go with Goryo. So that is how I do my 0 sanity, 0 evidence games. Sorry if it was a little bit all over the place. It's kind of hard to do sometimes when the ghost is super obvious the first hunt. But honestly, a lot of my 0 sanity, 0 evidence games, I do the same kind of strategy and technique, and it makes it super easy to test for every ghost really quickly, and usually have a super easy, fun game. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. If you liked the video, definitely drop a like. If you love it, drop me a sub. It would help out the algorithm so much if you could like and comment on the video. Otherwise, that's all I got for you guys. Good luck ghost hunting, and I will see you in the next one.